Hello, my fellow fallible human. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 12. My name is Tanya McIntyre, owner-operator of Red Roof Recovery and its training division, MHFA, Mental Health Fitness Alliance. Red Roof Recovery is where my personal healing journey became a purpose-driven mission. And now Mental Health Fitness Alliance is a space to grow mental resilience and reduce stigma through education, empowerment, and evidence-informed tools. In this episode, we're going to talk about making better decisions for better mental health. The 13th century scholar Rumi said, "The desire to know your own soul will end all other desires." I was alienated from my soul for a very long time. I spent more than 2 decades self-medicating my emotions. I was convinced that I needed my addictions to manage my life. And there was no shortage of excuses for me either. It was easier for me to justify my addictions to myself rather than having to face the reasons why I wasn't willing to help myself. I'm pretty sure if I had been part of that marshmallow study that was done back in the 1960s, I expect I would have eaten the marshmallow. It tested 4-year-olds who were put in a room with a hidden camera, and they just had a table and a chair. And then an adult would enter the room and they would put one marshmallow on the table in front of them, explaining to the child that they could eat that marshmallow. But if they decided to wait just a few minutes without eating it, they would get another marshmallow. During those few minutes alone, of course, the children were seen to be touching the marshmallow, they were smelling it, they were licking it and squeezing it. The majority gave in to their desire. They ate the solo marshmallow, so they only had one marshmallow. And the study followed the children into their future, and they found that by the time they were just 10, the ones who had delayed the gratification around that marshmallow were less likely to be overweight, and they had higher test scores. And then by the time they were 20, they had a better overall position in life, both mentally and physically. So decisions around health and finances are other good examples of how most people lack the skill of self-control. We might start off feeling enthusiastic and motivated about maybe going to the gym or saving on a regular basis, but then only the minority can actually manage to stick with that routine consistently. And that's why many North Americans are now holding more debt than savings. And we're also considered to be the most stressed, depressed, overweight, over-medicated population in history. I had spent my life feeding instant gratification because I never learned self-control as a child. And then once I decided to do the work to get clear and sober and achieve better mental health, I had to learn to say no to everything that wasn't leading me to the kind of life I wanted. I first had to decide, what kind of life do I want? What do I want? It's a hard question to ask and answer. Now that I'm finally enjoying a life I never need to escape from again, that resisting temptation really does get easier with practice, patience, and persistence. I know I sometimes sound like a broken record with my analogies, but here's another one for you. The key to success, KEY, is to keep educating yourself. Knowledge teaches us what to do, and then the practice, patience, persistence shows us how to do it. We're training our brain with repetition. It's a journey that starts with building resilience with self-care, right? Self-care, that's key. I had to actually learn to like myself enough to start taking care of myself. And it's a difficult thing to do, that concept of self-care. I often talk about the airplane analogy where when we're flying in that metal tube, and if the cabin pressure changes, that oxygen mask will fall from the ceiling in front of us. And the instruction is very clear. We need to put the mask on ourselves first. We can't help anyone until we help ourselves first. Very difficult concept for us humans to grasp, especially parents, because your whole purpose, you're socially and culturally conditioned to provide and perform for your children. So I want you to remember that airplane analogy when you maybe think about putting your self-care on the back burner. You need to prioritize that. So research has shown that we only have a fixed amount of energy to resist temptation as well. So it's really important for us to keep our attention focused on people, places, and things that are not tempting us into unhealthy behaviors. I think that advice from Rumi is always relevant. Learning how to resist temptation connects us to our soul. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate your continued support. I hope you find these little vignettes, these little bits of inspiration helpful. I would love if you share this with your friends and family. Until next time, may your coffee, your heart, and your patience be strong. Keep showing up for yourself. And remember to talk to and treat yourself like you talk to and treat a good friend. May the force be with you. And remember, you are the force.